We are live.
We are officially live.
Boom. Waiting on Facebook.
We're always waiting on Facebook.
We are live.
There
we are.
Facebook. Hey, did you hear yourself?
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite part when that happens.
I love it.
So Facebook is officially live now. Now all we have to do is get Periscope going and we're set.
Bam.
There we go. Welcome, everybody, to episode 38 of the Almost Daily Show. We are here. We're ready to roll, and we are excited to rock and roll, if you will.
It's amazing. You've been rhyming and singing. I mean, you've had quite the 24 hours.
Gosh, you have no idea. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
We always talk about this, but I don't think people understand how much of a songbird I am. All I have to do is say one word, and
it's pretty impressive.
I'm on it. It's crazy. It's out of control.
We were pulling a extremely late nighter doing an audit for a business, and we're going through all their social channels and doing the thing we do. And Chandler was playing lots of their videos and started singing. It was amazing. So we actually recorded a lot of it, and we'll probably send it over to the business. Maybe they'll use it.
It was hilarious. And I had a jingle that went perfectly along with their tune.
It was great. It was great.
I mean, honestly, if they used it, they'd probably see at least $100 million in sales in the next 30 days.
I'd buy it over and over again.
I would. I mean, yeah. I'd make it a ringtone.
Absolutely. So what are we talking about today?
But today we wanted to talk about the sales process.
My favorite.
Yeah, you are quite the salesman, Dave.
I just like talking. I like building relationships.
You know what? You have the gift of gab. I think we both do. Everybody tends to like to talk to us.
For some strange reason, we actually do very well in that category.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just the world works in mysterious ways, and it's not in our nature to be mysterious, but we can't talk about why or how.
Nope. It's like Fight Club.
Right. Don't talk about Fight Club.
That's right.
So the sales process is we always talk about like optimizing like your marketing funnel and making sure we have the relationship experience coming in to get people excited about our brands and get people like actually talking about our brands and wanting to come in and work with us. But what a lot of people fail to put together is like an optimized sales process that helps move people along the line. Because once you've got them in, if you've done the relationship marketing experience right, they're going to come in excited about working with you. And if you have an optimized process, you can bring them in and you can work them through the entire process without losing them or without getting overwhelmed with having to do too much follow-up on your own.
Yeah, and something that we always... Oh, I'm echoing. What's going on?
What's going on?
Oh, I can't hear an echo.
I hear an echo.
Huh. Do you have Facebook running at the same time?
I do not.
That's weird.
Echo?
Oh, well.
Echo?
And no echo over here.
All right. So something that we always find is we get into a business and we start looking through their processes. And one, they usually don't have very good process for marketing, creating their funnel, bringing the clients in, what the sales process looks like, and how it ties into ultimately a sale and client experience. And so we have to map all that out for them. And some of the mistakes we always find is people build their pipelines and sales funnels and client experiences all around a software that they've purchased. And they don't actually build out the process around their process and then go out and find different types of software solutions if they even need it to plug their process into.
Yeah, that's a big problem we see. So people buy maybe like a solution and they see the solution as something they can use, but they haven't mapped out what the entire process looks like and they don't understand what it looks like well enough to actually utilize that solution. And so they buy the solution, then they map out their process and they realize the solution doesn't do what they need it to do. So now they have to jimmy rig the solution and in turn they hate the solution. But in reality, it's from lack of understanding of what your entire funnel should look like.
I think we just brought a new term to the equation, Jimmy rig.
Jimmy rig.
Yeah. On the East Coast, we jerry rig it. And on the West Coast, you guys Jimmy rig it.
We Jimmy rig that. We don't even mess around.
I like that. So, and you know what we find is even similar types of businesses, their processes are different because process gets built around, a lot of it is your capabilities at your gym as well. So there's the ideal flows that happen, but then it also comes down to capability. my sales pipeline and marketing funnel might work really well for me. And this has actually happened to me multiple times. And then you go out and hire employees and you pass the job off to somebody else, and it doesn't work the same for them. And what we find is it's because there's certain processes that maybe it's the way I work and I talk to people and I build relationships. And so there may be some tweaks in there that work for me. And then we need to go out and when we move to that other person, you need to find out how they communicate, right? How they teach, how they sell, all that stuff. And it might tweak your process slightly so that they can be more successful. And it's not just a cookie cutter thing where you just put someone in place and let them do it. Like I said, a business that you guys could have the same everything, but your processes might be slightly different to be successful.
Yeah, that's huge. And what you find is your sales process and the way it functions and flows is never static. Right. Like everything we talked about, your business is constantly evolving. Your business is constantly moving in a different direction, or a direction that's going to allow you to pivot, shift, and get into another area, or move yourself into relevancy over the long term. And the same thing with your sales process. You're gonna initially map this thing out, and you're gonna have what happens when they call, what happens when they purchase, what happens when they don't purchase, what happens when I need to follow up, what happens after I follow up and I don't get a hold of them, or I do, what happens after they actually buy long term. And then you're going to get situations to where something comes in and something new happens and you haven't done this yet, or you haven't optimized this in your sales pipeline. And so you take all these new things that you see and you allow that to move your sales pipeline forward, and you allow that to evolve what's happening. And so over time, your sales pipeline is going to be this evolving thing that turns into something that you're always putting new strategies and new ideas and new information into. And that's when you pick your solution that can evolve with you. So then you take all these strategies and processes and you replicate those. So that way you always have it available in case that situation comes up again. And chances are, if it comes up once, you're going to see it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 more times down the road, because the way one person thinks is often the way everybody thinks.
Right. I like it. So what is your suggestion, Chan, for people when they're mapping out their pipeline?
Yeah. So what I like to do when I'm mapping my pipeline, I like to write on a giant whiteboard. So I write on a whiteboard what my entire process looks like on the entire system. So it's going to be what happens so that we do all the marketing, that pipeline's mapped out and optimized. Now what happens when my first interaction with the client happens? Then what happens when what happens in the next situation? And then what happens in the next situation? And then next, and so on down the line. And each different situation and piece of your funnel has to have decision parameters associated with it as well. So what happens if they come in and they say you're a service business, they come in, they request a phone call. So you call them. Now what happens? Do they answer? Okay, they can go in one direction. Do they not answer? Okay, they go in the next direction. Do you get on a call with them? Do they purchase? Okay, they go in this direction for purchasing. Do they not? And they need to think about it. Okay, now how do we follow up with them effectively? And then we keep going down the line. And that's why it's not static. There needs to be decisions associated with each flow that you're creating in your wholesale pipeline.
And then, so if you're a one-man operation in your business, then obviously you just have to make sure you map this thing out and you make sure you do it. If you're not a one-man operation, the struggle that business owners have is if you have other people that are working this process, you need to be able to actually look at it and check in. You can't just let the business do its thing without actually looking at the numbers. You have to identify one, are any of these processes not working optimally? Is it the person that is implementing it, or is it the actual procedure? And then where people need help, and so especially salespeople or service people, you can kind of see where the breakdown is, right? If you actually have a really good process in place and you're able to track the numbers, right? Like how many people came in, how many did we convert, how many did we lose, how many bought this service, bought that service, and ultimately you can then make decisions as a business on how to improve, how to maybe shift in the market, how to get training for your employees, and ultimately even how to get rid of employees faster to bring in people that can do the job better, right? So all those things matter, and you need to be paying attention to them.
Yeah, those are good points. You have to pay attention to what's happening in the process. And like you're saying, Dave, you have to monitor what people are doing in the pipeline and what's happening with your employees and what's happening with the customers. And
Right.
for example, if you have to follow up with a phone call with someone, on average, out of every 100 calls you make, how many of those come back after one call? How many come back after two
Right.
calls, 3, 4, 5? When is the drop-off period to where we're never going to actually be able to contact them? And where is the period to where you know you're going to probably get them on the phone? How much time does it take from the initial information kind of download, like when they put their information in on your website or whatever? How long does that take for you to call them, and what's the optimal time period that you have to actually get a hold of them? And then you have to monitor your employees and go over this stuff in your staff meetings. So, hey, we noticed that it's taking 5 attempted contacts to get a hold of someone if we wait longer than 30 minutes after the initial consult. So then you say, now our goal is to get our initial contact time down to 10 minutes. And then you notice, okay, now it's taking us 3 attempted contacts. What happens if we contact them within 30 seconds? Like, okay, now we're getting a hold of them on the first phone call.
That's right.
That's optimizing your funnel and your sales process long term.
So what we're describing here is so if you're a small business and you do okay, right, decent numbers, and you know that there is competition out there, or everybody knows, or they can give us a name of direct competition that they want to be in their market. Know that anybody that's very successful in their markets with their businesses have they're either like lucky stars, right, somewhere, or they process in these processes on lockdown in their business, like on lockdown. They know their numbers. They're constantly improving the process, client experience, how long it takes, analyzing and at the end of the day, growing their business. Like, this is what it takes.
Yeah, this is huge. And I think we get into this environment where we think like a cookie cutter sales process can be defined and outlined, but every business is unique and different. You're going to see commonalities amongst a lot of businesses, but if you're not continuously optimizing and paying attention to this stuff, you're never going to really know whether what you're doing works or not. And that's the sales process. It's not trying to trick people and get people to like buy or whatever. It's understanding what different parameters work and what different things you're doing with people work, and which different decision parameters are the right ones. So how many attempted contacts does it take? How often do I need to call them? How quickly do I need to call them? All those kinds of things. And if that's mapped out, you can take that and you can replicate that to your employees that you bring down the line. Because another thing we see often is the business owner becomes a salesman and he's engulfed in sales calls 24/7, which doesn't allow him to grow his business because all he's doing is sitting on sales calls, and then everything else gets neglected.
Well, it's small business nightmare, right? Is exactly. People get put into a cycle. You just can't get out of it. You're trying to deliver service, customer service. You're the person that's selling, marketing, business networking. It's just so many roles. And so if you haven't sat down and mapped out your processes and the funnel, and then gone out and gotten the help you need, like I've always had business coaches in all my businesses. And so you get the help, they can look at it through outside eyes, analyze it, streamline your process. If there's any softwares that can help streamline it, you get them as support to help to relieve workload, not to take over, and then, then you can actually, look at it from a real business owner standpoint, make the proper decisions and bring people on. Like, it's not like eventually, we'll make enough money and I'll hire somebody. If you haven't planned out the eventually, there's a way to get there. You plan that out, and then you know exactly when you're going to hire somebody. It doesn't just randomly happen, right? So I think that's this is all, we can dig deep into these problems on this podcast. So we should this would be great to keep going, but let's drag this out over the next 6 months. Yeah. Have content next week.
Have all this stuff going on. We can talk about, we can even do an episode where we map out one of our sales processes and show what we do and how it works and a lot of that, because we both have gyms we do this kind of stuff in. And I did like you just said, understanding that you need to have everything defined and outlined as a big picture. And then you can put everything in place that needs to happen, like hiring people and all of that stuff. You can't just, businesses that rely on hopes and dreams are businesses that aren't going to be around longer than a year. Right,
exactly. So, I know our podcast is always just about giving information and doing our thing. But obviously, this is a big subject. So anybody out there that needs help mapping this stuff out, that's what Chan and I do, and we do it well. So reach out, let us know. If not, keep listening to the show, and we'll continue to give you guys whatever's floating around our brands.
Yeah, because we are crazy boys.
That's right.
We started our podcast standing up now, so I can do like jumping jacks and exercise while I'm.
That's right.
Plus, it's much more animated.
I like it better. I'm gonna work
it's
on my new bum. I got to wear my headset until I get my my nice mic set up nice and high for me.
Yeah, I've got mine set up. Get yourself a standing workstation, and you got a podcasting station.
That's right.
Good times.
So, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Almost Daily Show, and we're gonna do our best. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we don't know though because it's almost daily. Until next time.
Later,
See
guys.
ya.